Among the things that exist, is there any wajibul wujud? Is there anything that has to exist, that necessarily exists? Or everything that exists is contingent? Everything that exists is possible to be there and possible not to be there. Is mumkinul wujud. Those who believe in God, they say there must be at least one necessary being. Why I'm saying at least? Because at the moment we are not talking about Tawheed. Tawheed, we will talk about it later. At the moment our concern is that there must be a necessary being. Whether it can be two or cannot be two, we will discuss later. But those who don't believe in God, they say, no, everything is contingent being. Everything could be there and also could be not there. So why they are there? It's for an external reason. There is nothing inside them that determines their existence. This desk, this microphone, this, I don't know, laptop, they exist, but they also may not exist. There is nothing wrong if we imagine that they don't exist. There was a time that they didn't exist. There would be a time that they are not going to exist again. So there is nothing in them that makes it necessary for them to be there. Okay? So those who don't believe in God, they say everything in the world is like this. They are there, but not because there is anything in their essence that determines that they must be there. It's because of an external factor which we call cause, illa, cause. So certain things come together, and when the cause is completed, they come into existence. When the cause is not there, they will cease to exist. Okay? So those who don't believe in God, they say everything in this world is an effect, is ma'lul, depending on a cause. Okay, this is the scenario. Now, what we say is this. We say, if everything in this world is contingent and for its existence depends on something else, what about that thing which is the cause for it? Okay, if A is brought into existence by A, what about A? Is A also contingent or necessary? If you say A is necessary, you say Alhamdulillah. So you accepted that there is something which is necessary. If you say A is created by B, and B itself is also created by C, because B was also not necessary. So you say, what about C? If you say C is necessary, you say, okay. If you say even C is not necessary and it's created by D, so we say, then in the end of the day, you have to reach a point that would be self-subsistent, would not depend on another thing. Because this cannot go endlessly back. Okay? This is what we call tasalsul. It cannot go back endlessly. Because if everything depends on another thing, and that depends on another thing, and this goes infinitely, so nothing comes to existence. Like a group of people, for example, a classic example in books is if there are two armies and are ready to start the war. But when the first soldier is asked to start, he says, I don't start unless the second starts. So it means that I depend on the second. And the second says I depend on the third. And the third says I depend on the fourth. And the fourth says I depend on the fifth. If this goes like this infinitely, so no one is going to do anything. So it must reach a point that someone says, I will start without depending on anyone else. Is it clear? So you cannot say A is caused by B, B by C, C by D, D by E, and it goes like this forever. This cannot happen. Or if you say A by B, B by C, C by D, but then D again by A. This is a vicious circle. Because it means that E has depended on itself. E was not there, was brought into existence by B. But then how D at the end is dependent on A? It means something which was not there was there. So this is what we call in Arabic تقدم الشيء على نفسه. Something to precede itself. This is impossible. So at the end they have to accept that there is something that is wajibul wujud, something that does not depend on another thing, something that in itself has the principle for existence. It doesn't depend on anything outside. Okay? Other than wajibul wujud, everything else would be needy. There is another way of talking about this, which is very similar, but you can look at everything as a whole. We say, okay, you say in this world, everything is contingent, everything is mumkinul wujud. So when we ask about A, you say it depends on B. And when we say B, you say B depends on C. Okay, our question is, what about the whole world? As a whole, is it wajibul wujud or is it mumkinul wujud? If you say it's mumkinul wujud, it means as a whole it depends on something. If you say there is wajibul wujud, then the problem is solved. So there must be a necessary being that brings other issues into existence.